All right, we'll get started. Perfect group. I didn't want too many people here, but let's go ahead and get started. So this is session Ask a Salesforce SE, almost anything. If you want to ask personal questions, that's fine too. And whenever you say ask anything, that kind of can get a little can go probably south really quick. But I probably won't be able to answer while certain things are still not working correctly in Salesforce, but I'll do my best on my weekly one-on-ones with Mark Benioff. I'll try and do that. So, before I get started, I just wanted to throw up a thank you to the sponsors. They have done a great job. This has been a really great conference so far this year, and it's just growing very rapidly. So I'm glad for that because I think there's a lot of great Salesforce people in Denver, and we need this. So thank you to all the sponsors. A little bit about me. So I am a lead solutions engineer at Salesforce. I've been there for 4 years. I have been in the Salesforce ecosystem for over 10. I started, I was a database administrator and an architect for our Colorado State University global campus. I was the lucky one that raised my hand when Salesforce came in to implement for recruiting and admissions. Back then, there was no education products or solutions. There was a couple of partners that built out, but as we started listening to their pitch on what they wanted to install into the environment, I kind of wanted to just do it on my own. So I worked with a partner that helped me, and I kind of became an accidental Salesforce admin, like probably a lot of people. From there, I realized that Salesforce was definitely where I wanted to be, so I worked for a partner up in Boulder for a few years doing small business implementation. I also worked for a big company in Westminster where I was the staff engineer, and I managed all the developers and the administrators and kind of the projects that we had as we implemented new stories. Right now, I'm a core SE for higher education. They got some stuff going on there. A core SE, which means I'm the master of none. So I have really no specialized focus at Salesforce. I kind of know a little bit about everything. I am a CPQ black belt. That doesn't really mean anything other than I know how to do CPQ better than anybody in education, which I wish I didn't, but I do, and so there's that. I am certifications for 8 Salesforce certifications, anywhere from the platform app to Omni Studio consultant and so forth, and one architecture certification. And I am an All-Star Ranger. We've had that ever since I started at Salesforce. We had those ranks, so that's why I went ahead and did it. But now I think everybody has access to those different ranks. But I'm going to just do a plug for Trailhead. I still use it to this day. I enjoy it, and Salesforce likes to push those out to us and kind of say, get this done if you please. So this is a quick agenda. Nothing much here. There's only a few slides. I decided to do at least one cool slide, so things you may not know about a Salesforce AE. I'll do that, and then I'll start with the Ask Me Anything, and I will do my best to answer those. So really quick, so some things about being an SE that you may not know. At Salesforce, customers sometimes know about new products before we even do. Salesforce is great at marketing out new products, and they're like, hey, we've got this new product, and as you guys are hearing about it, so are we. So that's always fun when a customer brings up a new product, and we have no idea that even existed. But we do have a lot of resources at Salesforce. We can go and find a lot. We have a lot of Slack channels where we can ask questions. And we do have access to a lot of people that can help us get answers quickly so we can provide those answers back to the customer. Because even though we are SEs, we do not know everything for sure. You've seen some of our demo orgs. Hopefully you like those demos. They're pretty awesome. We do actually have to set up a lot of different demo orgs. And there is a lot of setup that actually goes into those. They're not just kind of pre-packaged for us. You'd be surprised when we spin up a Trialforce ID from an IDO. There's still a lot of things that we have to go in and fix, so we try to minimize that, but that's something that we do, and we do spend a lot of time on that. So if you're ever working with an SE and they say, I can do a demo, but it's going to take me a couple weeks, it's probably because they have 4 or 5 demos and they have to build out different demos for all of those. Sometimes we get lucky and we have a demo that has similar features and we can kind of just go in and rebrand those demos. But we do like to try and in the education industry at least, we like to first show or do discovery and really get an idea of what that customer is trying to do and really try and customize demos to them. I don't know how every industry is, but that's how we kind of do it in education. We usually have to then set them all up again after a release. A new release comes out, new products and solutions. We usually have to spin up a new org that has those new features, and then we can go in and do our configuration and so forth. So you get pretty good at it though. But at the beginning, it can be very tough until you kind of get exactly what you need to do and so forth. We also, I don't know if you know this, we also do build out a lot of proof of concepts. So that's my favorite thing to do. I don't actually really like to sell Education Cloud and the features because it's pretty easy to do. It's all kind of products and solutions that we can present and show. But sometimes we get things like, hey, can you help us with how we manage parking permits and so forth? Can you help us with tech transfer? That's one of the things that I worked on as an SE early in my career at Salesforce, and we actually did build out a tech transfer starter kit. And the SEs for Education Cloud for higher education actually built that out and put it into Salesforce Labs for free. Everything that we do build as apps or components like chatbots for Admissions Connect, or those are usually built by SEs, and we usually provide those for free to customers. And then I don't know if anybody knows this, but SEs also do a lot of pro bono work for nonprofits. We're actually recommended to do about 56 hours, but we get to be at Salesforce. We are able to go as hard as we can without impacting our day-to-day for work to really find any type of nonprofit or higher education customers that need work, usually about 20 to 25 hours of pro bono work that we can go in and set up configurations. I've done pro bono work for the University of Montana, their rural health department, to build out some clinical management and so forth. I've also worked with the University of Houston, Victoria, and built out some custom solutions for them as well. And animal shelter in California, which we were able to build out another app called the Animal Shelter Pack as well for that. And then solution engineers love to solve problems. If you're working with Salesforce and you're working as an account executive, please get hopefully they can get the solutions engineer involved. We are really there to solve your problems. We're also not there to sell you a solution. At least I'm not, to sell you a solution that's not going to be beneficial for you. We'll look at all the different apps and functionality and solutions and products that we have, and we really do try and find something that's going to be a good fit for the customer and not just to sell them something that they're not going to use long term. Our goal is to really keep partnership with our customers and not just kind of sell them something that in a few years they're canceling out on the subscription. Since Salesforce is subscription based, our job is to really keep you continuing as the customers. This is one of my favorite things. I had a customer actually send this to me, thought it was hilarious. So official Salesforce demos, and then my Salesforce demo org. If any of you are like that, I'm sorry. I've had orgs that are very much similar to that, but just so you know, it is always easier to have a nice running org when you were the only one working in it. So that's something that I definitely enjoy. All right, so with that said, I will go ahead and start with the questions. So if I didn't already answer every single one of your questions with those slides that I present, or those overview, then let's go away. So I don't know if we want to just kind of do hand raising or anything like that. Let me know. Right up front.
So you said you were a former DBA, so I'm looking for something like Oracle List Ag or SQL Server String Ag in SOCL.
Okay.
I saw reference to it in Marketing Cloud, but Marketing Cloud uses SQL Server backend, I think. So anything in your realm, anything on the horizon? Because it seems that it's not possible.
That's a good question. I don't necessarily know exactly what product or if there's anything coming in the horizons. Have you looked at like, yeah, not sure. That's a good one.
So yeah, list ag, it just takes rows and
Yep.
converts it into a string,
Yeah,
into a comma-separated string.
yep. And that, I mean, you really can't do comma-separated strings, right? Because the database is going to count that as CSV, right? So it's going to take it into columns. So they can do the semicolon. I mean, multi-select pick lists kind of do that same thing, but
I'm speaking specifically in a query.
right, in a query, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing that I've seen on that side of things,
Okay.
so, yeah.
I just have a quick question. What do you see as some of the most underutilized features in Salesforce?
That's a great one. Underutilized features. I would say one of the things, especially if you're doing customer service or service cloud functionality, I do feel that chatbots, I don't know if anybody's starting to utilize chatbots. They are very functional. They're easy to get up and running. But a lot of customers that I work with, especially in higher education, don't seem to, I think they're scared of what that looks like or what that will be. There's a lot of functionality behind those that can help solve some of those problems, especially if you're trying to avoid having authenticated users in Salesforce, right? If you're authenticating into a help desk, you're paying licensing costs for that, where if you're using a free help center, you could utilize chatbots to give, have somebody check on a case without having to authenticate into the community. They could just get and, put their case number in, verify their email with a code. All that can be done in a chatbot, and then they would be able to view the case and update the case. And so that kind of bypasses what you would have for licensing costs if you were trying to give people access to view and update cases without having to log in and use those community licenses. Other things that probably don't utilize as much is analytics. I think a lot of people buy CRM analytics and they don't really do a lot with that. I think that there's some really good templates and some guidance out there that most customers could get access to be able to spin those up, and I think those are really helpful as far as being able to identify specific cases or service level agreements that aren't being met. So, because I love Salesforce reports, but they're not as robust as what you can have with analytics.
As someone who works at a nonprofit, how do nonprofits tap into pro bono SE work?
Yeah, sure. So if you are a Salesforce customer and you have licensing and you fall under the nonprofit licensing costs and so forth, then there is a site that you can go into. So ask your account executive or your SE. Anybody can do it. Ideally, usually with they get put into a pool, and then SEs or anybody, I mean, you could even get a certified technical architect that wants to do pro bono, which would be a sweet deal, and they could come in and take those on. But usually with the customers I were working with, it was usually somebody that was one of my customers or in my area reached out to me, and I was like, I'll do that. And then, but you fill out the paperwork, you get put in. But if you find an SE that wants to do it, then, or an AE, there's some AEs out there that could probably go in and do some of that. But they usually you'll get it picked up quicker, cool. Right? Because they might pick it up and then also add a couple of different employees to help. So yeah.
So there's a special site.
Yep. I can probably send you a link. So if you'll have my I'll put my LinkedIn QR code up here at the end, and then you can message me on there, and I can probably send you a link to that application too. Thanks. Yep.
Hi. So in the Salesforce ecosystem, obviously there's tons of products, tools, features you could, dive in and learn about. And as an SE, it is helpful to know a little bit about a lot of things. But how do you prioritize what you spend time on learning and where you focus that learning time?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great one. Initially, when I first started at Salesforce, I obviously put a lot of focus into the education data architecture, right? So that was it. But honestly, finding as I worked with different customers, and I have a different range of customers. I have customers that are very basic. They're just getting started with Salesforce. They just know, they're just getting a Service Cloud environment or an Education Cloud environment. I do have customers that have been doing custom platform work and have 10,000 Salesforce users, and usually their questions are, I want to buy functions, I want to buy data pipelines, I want the data processing engine. So usually how I find out what to research is usually when those questions come in. I'll usually switch focus and really do a lot of research on a new product or a solution that somebody is looking at, in order to really be effective in being able to answer those questions. And like I said, I'm core, so I'm a master of nothing though, so I usually will get other people involved, product managers for those specific solutions. But as far as like Trailhead and so forth, it's just really what excites me or what our new products are. Obviously something like Omni Studio when that comes into play, but that's usually the focus. Always trying to find what is new in the platform though. I'm more of a fan of just the platform and the functionality that it offers as a standalone, more than just the products and solutions that we have on top of that.
Cool. So I'm curious, as I've kind of watched the evolution of the process automation tools on the platform, it's workflow rules, process builder, into flows, but now we have Omni Studio.
Yeah.
And it's been a few years since that Velocity acquisition. I'm starting to see it come up more in customer conversations with Salesforce AEs and SEs. It seems like it's really becoming more mainstream, so I was just curious your perspective on that, and if I'm thinking about it right in terms of that evolution of the process automation tools, or if you see it differently.
Great question. Omni Studio to me is, when I saw it, and I actually have a presentation of that on Salesforce Plus if you want to check it out. So, but it's, to me, when I first got access to that, I did a lot of research on it, worked with the product team on that, and really thought that this was a really great solution for people that don't really necessarily do develop code, right? There's still a lot of people get confused that, oh, I'm an administrator, I can probably go in and build all this stuff out. And it definitely will take a lot more ramping up and understanding the process. I think it's a viable solution. I think there's going to be a lot of industries that go that way. Hopefully, it's a product that can be purchased without being part of a specific industry like education. I don't see why they wouldn't go that way. However, I've also heard that Flow is also focused in on building some of that similar functionality as well, similar to bringing up the ability to create kind of Lightning components or flex cards in a similar way that Omni Studio is. So that's kind of confusing to me as why we're going that way. But Salesforce does that with a lot of things sometimes. They might have two different products that are kind of similar, but definitely don't necessarily overlap on everything. But I do see Omni Studio being a focus point in the future. They're doing a lot of upgrades on that. They don't follow the same release cycle. They're releasing new updates into that package. I believe it's still a managed package, but it's also going to be put directly into platform, I think, as well. So yeah. Yep.
We're out of time.
Already?
Yep.
Wow, that was fast. Yeah, sounds good. All right, yeah, I'll be hanging out back here if you guys have any more questions. But yeah, thank you all.